Hello everyone, my name is Kevin and welcome to Know Your Deets. What have I told you? There's a festival where people wrestle with their toes. A town that celebrates its single people by dousing them in cinnamon. And families who lovingly dance with their dead. Around the world, humans have come up with some truly jaw-dropping traditions. Some beautiful, some bizarre, and all deeply meaningful in their own ways. Buckle up, because we're about to take you on a whirlwind tour of 30 of the world's strangest, most fascinating cultural rituals. And trust me, you won't look at radishes, cheese, or funerals the same way again. Exploding Hammer Festival, Mexico. So imagine this. You're standing in the middle of a dusty square in San Juan de la Vega, Mexico, and people around you are literally smashing sledgehammers rigged with explosives into chunks of metal. There's fire, smoke, and noise so loud it rattles your bones. And somehow, this is all in honor of a local Robin Hood-style folk hero. It's absolutely chaotic, a little dangerous, and pretty much the loudest way possible of saying, "Don't mess with us." And speaking of not holding back emotions, finger cutting ritual, Indonesia. In the highlands of Papua, Indonesia, the Dani people express grief in a way that's intense and deeply personal. When a loved one passes away, some mourners actually remove part of a finger. Yes, cutting off a fingertip as a visible, permanent mark of loss. It's a painful act that turns mourning into something literal and lasting. While it's far less common today, the ritual speaks volumes about the physical weight of grief and how different cultures wear sorrow on their sleeves, sometimes right down to the bone. From pain and ritual to something far more absurd, yet no less intense. Cheese rolling, England. We land on a ridiculous steep hill in Gloucester, England, where every year locals chase a wheel of cheese like their lives depend on it. The cheese is given a head start, then dozens of brave, or slightly unhinged competitors hurl themselves downhill after it, rolling, tumbling, colliding. Injuries? Common. Dignity? Not guaranteed. But the prize is real. The winner gets to take home the glorious 9-pound wheel of cheese. This isn't just a race. It's a cheese-fueled freefall into mayhem. And yet, a few thousand miles away, another edible takes center stage. This time, not to be chased, but carved. Night of the Radishes, Mexico. Back in Oaxaca, Mexico, things quiet down a little, but they get no less creative. On December 23rd, the city transforms for La Noche de los Rabanos, the Night of the Radishes. And yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. Artists and amateurs alike sculpt entire scenes out of massive radishes. Some are biblical, some mythical, others just wild fun, but all made from this humble root vegetable. It's a short-lived showcase of imagination where food becomes fleeting art and the entire town turns out to admire and, yes, occasionally, snack. From radishes to racing partners. Carrying wives, Finland. We find ourselves in Finland, where couples compete in the rather unconventional sport of wife carrying. Picture an obstacle course full of mud pits and hurdles. Then picture someone running it with another full-grown person strapped upside down to their back. That's the basic premise. It's silly, competitive, and surprisingly strategic. The reward? The carrier wins their partner's weight in beer. Bonus! You don't even have to be married, or a woman for that matter. It's about the teamwork, the laughs, and a whole lot of awkward piggybacking. Monkey Buffet Festival, Thailand. If you ever thought throwing a feast for your pet was going overboard, let me introduce you to Lapori, Thailand, where the honored guests are thousands of monkeys. Once a year, the city rolls out an entire buffet of fresh foods, colorful jellies, and treats piled high on tables and temple steps. Monkeys clamber across every surface, stuffing their faces while visitors snap photos. It's chaotic, adorable, and more than a little sticky. And while these monkeys are fighting for bananas, in another part of the world, people are locking toes. Toe wrestling, England. Yes, you heard that right. Toe wrestling is a legitimate sport in Derbyshire, England, where people sit across from each other, lock big toes, and try to pin their opponent's foot to the ground. Picture arm wrestling, but with your feet. There's even a world championship. It's quirky, oddly intense, and one of those traditions that makes you wonder, how did this even start? Spoiler, a group of friends invented it in a pub, naturally. Now, from quirky games to something a little more haunting and elevating in every sense. Hanging coffins, Philippines and China. High on limestone cliffs in places like Sagada in the Philippines or parts of southern China, you'll spot wooden coffins suspended off the rock face. These are the hanging coffins, an ancient burial practice meant to bring the departed closer to the spirits above. It's a tradition steeped in reverence and practicality, keeping the body safe from floods and animals. There's something quiet and poetic about souls hanging between heaven and earth. Now, let's smash that serenity, quite literally. Polterabend, Germany. The night before a wedding in Germany, family and friends gather not for toast, but to break things. Dishes, tiles, even toilets. Yep, it's called Polterabend. And the point is to create a noisy mess that symbolizes cleaning away bad spirits. Then the soon-to-be married couple has to clean it up, together. It's fun, symbolic, and a surprisingly effective test of teamwork. Before they say, I do. And if you like weddings with a little mess, Spain's got one that'll stain your clothes forever. La Tomatina, Spain. Every summer in Benal, Spain, the streets become a sea of red as thousands of people engage in the world's largest food fight. The weapon of choice? Overripe tomatoes. Hundreds of thousands of them. For 1 hour, it's total chaos. You're slipping, sliding, laughing, and swimming in sauce. There's no deeper meaning. It's just pure juicing fun. And yes, it takes the city days to clean up. Crying marriage, China. Not all weddings are joy and celebration, at least not right away. In the Twa ethnic group of China, brides actually begin crying a full month before their wedding. But it's not sadness, not exactly. It's a mix of joy, nostalgia, and emotional release. Over time, her mother joins in, then her sisters, and sometimes even her neighbors. It becomes a crescendo of weeping, layered, melodic, ritualized. Think of it as an orchestra of emotion, preparing her spirit for the transition to married life. And while we're on the topic of emotionally loaded pre-wedding traditions, Blackening, the bride/groom, Scotland. Scotland takes things in a messier direction. In the Highlands and parts of the Lowlands, friends and family don't just celebrate the bride or groom. They ambush them. They're captured, covered in everything from syrup and flour to feathers and fish guts, then paraded through town. It's called blackening, and it's meant to prepare the couple for whatever rough stuff life might throw at them. Because if you can survive being tarred in molasses and laughed at by your neighbors, you can survive anything. From public embarrassment to a different kind of exposure. Kanamara Matsuri, Japan. Japan's Kanamara Matsuri, known more bluntly as the Festival of the Steel Phallus, celebrates fertility, protection, and yes, healthy sexual energy. Each spring in Kawasaki, giant phallus statues are carried through the streets. People eat lollipop versions, wear themed hats, and offer prayers for children, love, or safe childbirth. It's cheeky and colorful, but it's also rooted in ancient beliefs about protection from disease and honoring life's creative force. And speaking of fertility rituals, Whipping Monday, Czech Republic and Slovakia. Let's head over to Eastern Europe, where Easter Monday comes with a twist, literally. Men weave colorful willow switches called pomlacka and playfully whip the women they know. Far from being offensive, it's actually believed to bring youth, vitality, and good luck. The women, in return, reward the men with chocolates or colored eggs. It's flirtatious, festive, and deeply local. And it wraps up by noon, just in time to settle into some sweets. But while that tradition is light and playful, others delve into deeper, even haunting connections with death. Living with the dead, Indonesia. In the Toraja region of Sulawesi, Indonesia, death isn't an endpoint. It's part of life. Families often keep the mummified bodies of deceased loved ones in their homes for weeks, months, or even years. They speak to them, dress them, and care for them as if they're still living family members. It might sound eerie to some, but for the Torajan people, it's a sacred act of love and continuity, a way to keep the departed close until the grand funeral ceremony is finally held. If you learned something new or raised an eyebrow or two, hit that like button, subscribe for more curious content, and share this with someone who needs to know what a contest is. And hey, what's your favorite cultural tradition? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your story. Until next time, thank you for watching, stay curious, and you have a great day.